Hello, my name is Ann Kent. I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist and the owner of Peas and Toppiness. Today we are talking about how to prepare beets, a little bit about their nutrition, how to pick them out from the store, how to store them, and walk through a couple of different options for how to prepare these. So beets are in season for us now. Depending on where you live in the country, they can be a little bit earlier. They tend to like cooler weather, so they also come around again in the fall. So they're a really nice thing to actually enjoy year round because since they are a root vegetable, they tend to store very, very well. So having some knowledge of how to prepare these can be a really great tool in your tool chest for having really delicious produce all year round. So when you are picking out beets, the first thing you'll want to do is to make sure that the beet itself is small. The larger the beet, the more woody it can be. And so picking out ones that are definitely less than 6 inches big in diameter, but a little bit smaller, the better. And you'll see that the greens here are still attached. And I chose these because you can also eat the greens. They are getting a little bit wilted because they've been in my refrigerator for a little while, about a week now almost. And so you usually want to eat those greens within a few days if possible because they'll be a little bit more crispy. So when you are picking them out, it's best to choose those with a little bit brighter, crispier leaves. You'll know that that means it's a little bit more fresh. So these were a little bit more fresh a few days ago, but because they've been in my refrigerator, they are starting to become a little bit wilty. When you store them, it's best to store them either in an open plastic bag, or you can wash them and then roll them. I like to put them in a towel or a paper towel, and just roll them up and put them in the crisper drawer in your refrigerator. The beets themselves, the roots store for a very long time. The greens you'll want to use within a few days. So these beets are still, even though they are a week old, you can't even tell. You'll want to always choose one that's very firm to the touch. So you can see that this is not giving at all, and that means that it's a quality beet. So in terms of nutrition, the beets have a lot of nutrition in them. You can eat both the tops, the greens, and the root itself. They are full, the red color comes from an antioxidant called betalains. There are a couple of different colors of beets. The most common is the red beet, but it also comes in a color variety of yellow or kind of a golden beet. And all of these contain really great antioxidant properties and really good anti-cancer properties, antioxidant options. So these will help to reduce heart disease. They'll help to reduce cancer. They reduce your risk of diabetes, all different kinds of things. Beets also contain a lot of fiber. They contain nitrates, which turn to nitrous oxide in the body and help control blood pressure. They also contain folate, potassium, magnesium, and vitamin C. So they are really full of nutrition. The red color does leave a lasting effect. And so if you've ever eaten beets and then a couple days later you notice that your urine was red, don't worry, this is actually normal. It's those betalains showing up in your urine. So if you're a first time eater of beets, expect that to happen. You are not dying, you are not bleeding, it is totally normal. But you can see that these are very, very red. They're making my fingers red, they're making my cutting board red, which is why I'm using a plastic cutting board that I can throw in the dishwasher. It's to save some of my nicer cutting boards from getting stained red because it will stain. So make sure you clean up very quickly. It's also why I'm wearing an apron today so I don't stain my clothes. So when you're prepping these, you can either scrub the beets very, very well, or you can choose to peel them. The peel is edible, but it does tend to be just slightly bitter. So depending on how sensitive you are to bitter flavors, you may want to peel the beets just with a regular vegetable peeler. You would peel it just like you would an apple. Really simple. I'm going to leave the peels on though, because I'm going to prep these. I'm going to actually boil my beets and then make them into a cold salad because it is very hot here. Typically, we like to either roast our beets or cook them in the cast iron skillet, and that also helps to bring out some of the sweetness in the beets. So as with other vegetables, the smaller the pieces, the more browning you'll get when you roast or saute them. And so cutting them into very, very small cubes works really well. These I am slicing very thinly, and then I will boil these. I like to slice these first because then it takes less time to boil. You can cook beets whole, either roasted or boiled, but it does take a lot longer. And since it's summer and I'm trying to reduce the amount of time, I am simply slicing those very, very thinly. So I'll add those to my pot of water, and I'll boil those for as long as it takes to make sure that they are soft all the way through. It'll probably only take about 15 minutes because I've sliced them thinly. If you don't slice your beets, it can take up to an hour to cook, which is normal, but it's just that larger piece of the beet. So another very popular way to fix beets is to pickle them. And normally you'll boil your beets first and then add them to a mixture of vinegar. Those can last in the refrigerator a long time, definitely up to 4 to 6 weeks, sometimes even more. You can also eat beets raw. You can simply grate them using a cheese grater and then add them to salad. So there's a lot of really wonderful ways to cook beets. One of our favorite ways is actually as a breakfast side. We'll cook bacon in our cast iron skillet. I will cut these beets into very, very small pieces. I will dice them. So what I'll do is I will slice across, and then I will take the beets, lay them down, slice into long, thin strips. I'll turn the beets, and then I'll cut them into little cubes that we can then roast. So you can see that when I cut the beets, I do cut them very, very small, and that's both so that they take less time to cook, but also so that they have more browning around those edges. So I will drop a link for a salad of mine that actually contains roasted beets. You can roast beets in advance and then use them as leftover chilled, which work really, really well, or you could, of course, eat them reheated. Tossing a little bit of extra balsamic vinegar is also a really nice way to bring out some extra flavor. So if you have favorite ways to cook beets, I would love to hear your favorite recipes. Feel free to drop a comment with how you love to eat beets, and I will share my red, white, and blue cheese salad with you, which is a great salad to serve for your July 4th celebration if you are looking to bring a salad. So thank you for joining me, and I look forward to joining you guys again next week. Thanks, everybody.